Give us an idea of what's happening out there, how many investors you have, what you're showing them.
Well, this is an opportunity to sort of showcase the supply side of the business, you know, an opportunity to show some of the most important blue chip investors, hedge funds and mutual funds, what these guys have built, spaceships and the ability to take people to space. And so we're spending the day touring the facilities here, and then we're going to fly people to New Mexico and show everybody the newly unveiled spaceport where they will be running commercial operations, and then, you know, gearing up towards the fall and beginning of commercial operations next year.
We talk about the investors who've come out there, Chamath, today to see the operation. They, like everybody else, wants to know when's the deal going to close? When's it going to, you know, go public? When can we expect it?
Well, you know, we announced the deal in July, which is a merger between Social Capital Hedosophia, or IPOA, and Virgin Galactic. We are in the process of closing the transaction, and we think the merger should happen within Q4.
Okay, and George, you hit a milestone. I mean, everybody likes looking at rockets, obviously, over your shoulder. They're there for more than sort of design. You actually hit a milestone today in the development of your second spacecraft.
We did, Scott. Yeah, today's a really important day for the company. We announced that the fuselage and wing box had been mated together along with the boom. So for the next spaceship. So the one behind us has already gone to space. And then the one behind that is our next spaceship, which is going to bring additional capacity to the business. And we're making a big step forward in our manufacturing process with the announcement today.
George, the last we heard, you had, what, 600 people in 60 countries, about $800 million in deposits. Can you give us an update on where we stand today? That was from some months ago. So where are we today?
Yeah, well, we've had a soft close on sales for the time being, but we've actually had over 3,000 people try to register their interest in coming to us and flying to space with us, and that's just since the December space flight. So it's just been amazing the amount of interest we've been seeing, just hundreds and thousands now of people who are interested in flying to space.
Yeah, George, there's a big debate on what the total addressable market is here. I mean, obviously, you got to have a lot of money to buy one of these reservations to go up into space. How big do you think it can be when I see estimates that talk $20 billion?
Yeah, I mean, I think the market sizing, there's a bunch of different estimates, but we think it's going to be a capacity-constrained market for years to come, right? Even if we're wildly successful, we're only going to be able to service a very small fraction. We estimate roughly 0.1% of the global total addressable market in any particular year. So the good news with this market is that it's a huge market. Basically, everybody wants to go to space. The number of people in the high net worth category is growing at 6%. Per annum. So it's a very large and growing market, and we're feeling really good about it.
Chamath, you mentioned what you're doing today with these investors. You know, I'm sure it's going to be a fun day. They're going to see great things. But at the end of the day, they're going to want to know that their investments are going to pay off. This is kind of like an ultimate moonshot, if you will. How do you convince them of that?
Well, I actually think this is one of the safest and most interesting investments that I've ever made. In fact, I felt so confident after doing the diligence that I decided to invest an additional $100 million of my own money. And the question is why? And well, what I saw was a hardware business, and you can see some of the hardware behind me, but with margins that look like a software business. So gross margins approaching 70%, EBITDA margins approaching 50%. It's a kind of a business that's very rare and unique. Very difficult to build, not a lot of competition, incredible amounts of demand, very constrained supply, huge margins. So I don't think it's a moonshot at all. In fact, I think this is one of the most interesting, value-laden investments that I've seen in a long time.
George, your road to profitability is what? Can you give us an idea of what kinds of things you're taking your investors through today that leads them to believe that this is going to be a good endeavor?
Yeah, well, as Chamath said, we expect to go into commercial operations next year, and then it's just a question of ramping up the flight rate and adding a few more vehicles, and we think that we're going to have a tremendously profitable business within a couple years.